Okay. So in our last session, if you guys remember, we started learning about IM and admin. If you guys remember, right? So what is IM and admin? Is that IAM stands for Identity and Access Management. With the help of the IAM, we can manage the access control by defining who has what type of an access for which resource. IAM talks about the authorization. Okay, so in our last topic, we have seen how to create a free tier account, and I have told you how to set up the project. And our new topic is IAM and admin. So I think I might have given you some basic idea. For example, if I wanted to take care of an access control, or if I wanted to provide an access to any of the resource in the GCP. For example, sir, I am maintaining a project team of 5 members, and we are working on some services such as BigQuery, DataProc, Dataflow. And for each and every service, I wanted to provide the access to my developers, where I can do that. So that is in the IAM. In IAM, we can take care of the access control for each and every person to the each and every service. So that is what is the main thing about the IAM. So for example, if you can see, sir, this
So
is
your
my team.
video, your screen is not shared.
Okay. Sir, this is a team. This is a project team. We have like developer one, developer two, developer three. Sir, this team they are working on a Google Cloud projects, and they are working on a services like BigQuery, DataProc, Dataflow. Okay, so we need to provide the access to these developers so that they can access these resources. Otherwise, they will not be able to access these resources for the project development purpose. So the main intention is that in GCP, by default, they get zero access. These developers, even though the account is created for them, they get by default zero access. That means there won't be any access by default. If they are working on any of the services on the GCP, the admin has to provide the access to them. The admin has to provide the access to them. Then only they will get the access to the each and every services. So, sir, if I wanted to provide this access, if I wanted to control this access in GCP, where I can do that, sir? That is where I am, sir. If I wanted to control this access to these developers, to these services, that is done with the help of the IAM in the GCP, sir. That is with the help of the IAM in the GCP. What is IAM? IAM, I stands for identity, A stands for access, M stands for management. Let us try to understand each and everything one by one. In IAM, we can manage the access control by defining who has what type of an access for which resource. In a simple word, IAM talks about the authorization and authentication. Authorization means are you authorized to use that particular service or not? Are you authorized to do some action on that particular service or not? Is nothing but an authorization. IAM talks about this kind of an authorization. Okay, who can do what on which resource? For example, you see here, sir. So you are trying to access this service for doing some action. Are you authorized to do that? If you are not authorized, someone has to make you authorized. So that is can be done with the help of the IAM. Who can do what on which resource? IAM talks about the authorization in a simple words. Who can do what on which resource? IAM tells about who can do what on which resource. Okay, sir, in IM, I stands for what, sir? A stands for what, sir? M stands for what, sir? Let us try to understand each and every terminology. In IM, I stands for identity, sir. I stands for Identities are principles. Identities are principles. Okay, an identity can be a user account. An identity can be a service account. An identity can be a group of accounts. Guys, did I tell you this topic to you earlier already? No, right?
Sir,
I think,
last week I think we discussed this IAM.
yeah, I think we discussed. I think we need to go to
Okay.
maybe
Yeah.
10.
Anyway, yeah. Anyway, it could be a recap to you. In IAM, identities or principles are nothing but an identity can be a user account, sir. And a user account is nothing but our human account. A service account is nothing but an account of a service. A group of accounts or a Google group is nothing but a group of people, sir. In my project, there are 3 to 4 developers are there. I wanted to provide the similar access to them. So instead of providing the individual access, we can provide the access by creating a group. Okay, so that whenever I wanted to provide the access to them, I'll just provide the access to that particular group so that all the people inside the group get the same access. Okay, an identity can be a user account, the account that we are logging into. Service account is it is an account of some service, a Google group. Okay, so these are the identities and principles, sir. Similarly, in IAM, A stands for roles or A stands for access. In IAM, A stands for what, sir? Access. Access will be done via roles. Access will be done via roles. So in IAM, A stands for access. Access will be done via roles. A role is a set of permissions, guys. A role is a set of permissions. Permission 1, permission 2, permission 3. So any number of permissions. Permission 4. Okay. So what are these permissions? What is meant by a permission? A permission says you can do this action. A permission says, can I do some action on that? So for example, sir, I wanted to delete some data set. So that is one action. So someone has to provide the permission to do that action. Okay. So the permission says you can delete table. Permission says you can create table. Permission says you can delete data set. So this is how there will be a, for example, you are working on a BigQuery. In BigQuery, there are plenty of objects will be there. You will be having a data set, you will be having a table, you will be having a views, you will be having models. So the permission says is that in a BigQuery, that we can delete a project, we can create a project. Sorry, we can delete a data set, we can create the data set. We can get the data set, we can extract the IAM policy for the data set. So all these are something, if you wanted to do that action, there is a permission associated. Someone has to provide you the permission to do that. So such a kind of a set of permissions is nothing but a role. Okay, you create the set of permissions as a role, you assign this role to the identities, so that's where the identities get access. So in IAM, I stands for identity, A stands for access. Access is done via roles. So if you wanted to provide the access to the identities, identity nothing but a user account or a service account or a group of accounts. If you wanted to provide the access to the identities, we need to assign the role to them. We need to assign the role to them. A role is a set of permissions, sir. A role is a set of permissions. A permission one of the example for the permission is like deleting a table is one permission in a BigQuery. Creating a table in the BigQuery. Okay, so such a kind of a permissions or roles as well as identities all are managed by the IAM only. Okay, so let me gonna go to one more important step. In IAM, I stands for access. Access is done by a role. A role is a set of permissions, I told you. Sir, why are we creating the permissions, all the permissions as a role, and why we are assigning the role to the user? Sir, can I assign the permission directly to the user? Sir, one of the, for example, sir, I have a one permissions that is delete one permission, and competence dot get one permission, listing one permission. So I have plenty of permissions, sir. Sir, can I take one permission? Is it possible for me to assign it to the user directly? Can we assign the, can we grant the permission to the user directly? That is strictly no. You can't grant a permission to the user directly in the Google Cloud Platform. In Google Cloud Platform, you can't grant a permission to the user directly. If you wanted to assign a permission to the user, you create that as a role. You create that as a role and you assign this role to the user. So that is, even though you have one permission also, create that permission as the role. Sir, I have only one permission. Create that permission as a role and assign that role to the user. Then only the permission, in other words, the permissions will be assigned to the user. Okay, if you have one permission, two permissions, three permissions, or four or five or 10 or 100 permissions, create them as a role. Assign the role to the user. So that is what in the that is what happens in the Google. You can't assign the permission directly to the user. Okay, that point says here, you can't grant a permission to the user directly. Instead, you grant them a role. When you grant them a role to the user, you grant them all the permissions that the role contains. Whatever the permissions that the role contains will be granted to the user. Okay, so this is what is something. Sir, can you tell me what are the different types of roles? So let us try to see the different types of roles, guys. Before that, you see here, there are set of permissions. You are calling the set of permissions as a role. The role will be assigned to the user, a group of users, or a service account. Okay, so that these users gets the access to, you can see here, what is this permission says? An access allowed on some resource. So these people gets access onto these resources. Okay, so that is what happens. Okay, so that is what happens. In a simple word, let me go to the Google Cloud Platform and show you guys so that you get easy understanding, because it's a very simple topic. I go to the IAM and admin. Hope you guys can see the screen clearly. So I'm in my Google Cloud Platform console, sir. I click on the left navigation menu. I click on the IAM and admin. As I told you, if you wanted to control the access control, you go to the IAM and admin. Look at here. Sir, I wanted to provide access to someone. You click on the grant access. Okay, you add the principals here. Principals are the users, groups, or domains, or service account. As I told you, a principal or a identity can be a user. An identity can be a group of users, or it can be a service account. So what do? You add those principals here. So let me add one of the mail. Okay, so this is how you add your developers details here. Okay, one of the developer. And if you wanted to add one more developer also, you can add it any number of developers. So this is how you're going to be adding the multiple developers here. So if you wanted to add some service account also, you can add it here. Okay, so first thing is that whenever you wanted to grant access, we add the principals. We can add any number of principals here. There is no restriction. You can add any number of principals here. Once you add the principals, the next step is that we need to assign the role, because I want this principal to be accessing some resources. Assume that we wanted to provide some access. Access will be done via what, sir? Can you guys confirm access in the GCP is done via what? Guys, can you guys confirm in GCP, I stands for identities, A stands for access. Access is done via
I am total.
Roles.
roles. Perfect. In IAM, A stands for access. Access will be done via roles. What is a role, sir? Can anyone tell me what is a role?
Tool contains group of permissions.
Perfect. A role is a set of permissions, and that permission determine what a principal can do with that resource, right? It is an action allowed on that resource. Okay, so you see here, when we add the principals, you come here, you assign the roles. A role is a set of permissions, and it determines what a principal can do with that resource. This can do with that particular resource, and here we are going to assign the role. Okay, you can see here. Any role you can see, any role you can take. Sir, BigQuery data editor. When you select a BigQuery data editor, it is a role. Okay, it is a role. On which resources are, can you guys tell me on which resource this role is applicable?
BigQuery.
BigQuery only. And BigQuery data editor, sir, it is a role. Sir, I wanted to just set of permissions on this particular role. Okay, before that, let me gonna tell you one thing. As I told you, there are three types of roles. First thing. Okay, so if you go and understand the roles, there are three types of roles. One is basic role. You have it here, the basic role. So a basic role means editor, owner, viewer, browser. So you have a basic roles. You have a custom roles. You have a predefined roles. By product and service you are seeing, right? So these are the predefined roles. All these are the predefined roles. In Google Cloud Platform, there are three types of roles. One is basic role. One more is predefined role. The third one is custom role. Okay, basic role and predefined role is a ready-made role already created by the Google. So these are the ready-made roles, sir. It's like this: if you wanted to buy a shirt and pant, it's already available, right? So such kind of with respect to your size and all of those things, you will be able to find your shirt and pant. So it is a ready-made. So similarly, in Google Cloud Platform, basic role and predefined roles are already available. It is already created by the Google. Custom role is as per the user choice, they can create it. A user as per their requirement of the project. A user as per their project requirement, they can create their own role. That is nothing but a custom role. That is nothing but a custom role. So let us try to understand each and everything. So basic role. Basic role can be a viewer or editor or browser or owner. So these are the four basic roles, four important basic roles. And it talks about most of the GCP services. Most of GCP services. Okay, so that is what it is. That means, sir, if I provide him the viewer access to any of the person, for example, here, basic, if I go and click on editor, so when I mention editor, all of these people will be having access to create, view, update, and delete most of the GCP resources. It's a very dangerous role. Okay, so that means it is not about one service. Look at here, guys. It is not about any specific service. It is all the resources. It is all about all the resources in the GCP. That means if I have a user, if I provided him the editor access, This is a basic editor role. If I provide him the basic editor role, that means what are the services he can access, sir? Can you guys list out? What are the services he can access?
All of them.
All the services. That is what we are talking about. It is not specific to any service. All the services they can access. All the services. It is a very, very dangerous role. Why it is very dangerous role, sir? Can anyone tell me?
Because they can change other people's resources.
Perfect. Perfect. So because they can actually, for example, if this user supposed to work on only one or two services, because as per their project requirement, they may have to work on BigQuery and Dataproc and GCS. As per the project requirement, they're supposed to work on these services only. But because of the editor role, he can also access all other services additionally. All other services also he can access, so that he can misuse the access. Okay, he can misuse the access also. There can be a data leakage, there can be an extra access to it. So that is the reason editor role, not only editor role, editor role or basic viewer role, basic owner role, these are the very, very dangerous roles. They does not talk about one service, because they talk about all the services. They will be having an access to all the services. Basic viewer role means he will be able to view all the services in the GCP. He will be able to, the owner will be able to view it, edit it, and even provide the access to some other person also. So owner is something, the difference between the viewer and editor is that, so viewer can only see the services. That means if there is a data, he can see the data. Okay. If there is a some kind of a service, he can able to see the service configuration, everything. But he cannot be able to edit anything. Okay, he cannot be able to edit anything. But the editor is that he can view it, he can create it, he can delete it, and he can also change, modify it. So that is the editor. What is owner? In addition to the each and everything that the editor do, he can also provide the access to someone. So owner is someone is that I can create it, delete it, I can modify it, I can view it, I can also provide the access to someone. So that is the owner. So basic roles are dangerous roles. Basic, these are all basic roles only, guys. Basic viewer role, basic editor role, basic owner role are by default generic roles. Basic roles are generic roles. Generic. You never use them in your project. These are the fundamental roles. When GCP was introduced, these were the only roles available. Okay, these are the fundamental roles. Okay, so but you never use them. It's because these are one of the dangerous roles. Because when you provide him an editor, owner, or a viewer, so they can able to do, they can able to have the access to all the services in the GCP, which is not a good practice for the projects. Okay, we need to ensure the principle of least privilege. That means we can only provide the right access to the right user to the right resource. Okay, we could not provide the extra access, we cannot provide the less access. Okay, we should only provide the enough access. Okay, so as per the principle of least privilege, basic role is not a perfect role for the projects. Okay, but understanding the basic role will tell you that basic roles are the generic roles and fundamental roles. Examples are viewer role, editor role, owner role, and it provides access to each and every service in the GC. Okay, so this is what is basic roles are. This is what is basic role. Similarly, we have predefined role. The name itself is saying that predefined. It is also defined by the Google. And sorry. Predefined. Predefined is granular roles, sir. These are granular roles. What does that mean? So it is specific to the service. These are specific to service. One of the example, BigQuery, we have just seen BigQuery data editor role. So BigQuery data editor role is only applicable to which service, sir? It is also a role, predefined role. One of the example for predefined role is BigQuery data editor role. BigQuery data editor role. Okay. So this role is only specific to which service, sir?
BigQuery.
BigQuery. Perfect. It is only specific to the BigQuery. That means if I provide him the access to, if I provide him the, or if I assign this role to the user, can they access any other service other than the BigQuery? No. So that is something that you have to understand. The difference between the basic and predefined role is that basic in general role, fundamental role talks about most of the GCP services. If you assign a basic role, you are providing the access to all the services. You are not specifying any service, you are specifying to all other service. But when you are assigning a predefined role, it is only specific to one service only. BigQuery data editor role only providing the access to the BigQuery. BigQuery data editor role is only providing the access to BigQuery. And if you try to access any other service, access is revoked, rejected. So that is what is predefined role. Hope this is clear, guys. And we have a third role, that is custom role. Third role is custom role. So custom role is nothing but it is further granular role. Further granular role. Granular. Okay, let us try to see first. Let me go to the Google Cloud Platform. Sir, this is basic role, sir. Basic, you have a editor, viewer, browser. Recently, they have added browser so that they can browse it, only browse it. Okay, so again, they have a custom role. If you create only, it will come, sir. Otherwise, for you, it is empty. Okay, if you look at this, this is a custom role. If you create a custom role, you will be able to see here. I might have created it already. So that's the reason I'm seeing it. If you don't create it, it will be empty for you. And this is what is a predefined role, sir. By product or service, it is saying, right? All these are the predefined roles. If you can see here, if I select BigQuery, there will be a plenty of roles here. And all of these roles are specific to the BigQuery only. If I mention BigQuery admin, that guy is an admin to the BigQuery only. He cannot access any other services also. Similarly, if I provide him the any other service that we use, okay, Cloud SQL. Sir, if I provide him the Cloud SQL editor, that means he can only edit the things in the Cloud SQL service. He cannot be able to edit any other service. So that is how predefined roles are specific to the product or service. Specific to the products or service, which is very useful for the projects. Okay, so now it is. So the thing is that you can use predefined roles. These roles are already created by the Google. Okay, sir, all the time you are saying that these are the roles of Cloud SQL admin or BigQuery data editor role. Sir, a role is a set of permissions. Can I see where this set of permissions available? Sir, I wanted to see the list of permissions for the BigQuery data editor role, because a role is a set of permissions, sir. Can I see those? So you can always go to the roles section. Click on the roles. Okay, so BigQuery has created predefined roles, right? So you can see here, these are all the predefined roles only. So total, you can see almost 1585 predefined roles are already available. 1585. Okay, you can also create a role. So when you click on create role, that is what it becomes as a custom role. When you create a role, it is a custom role. Okay, sir, earlier we are seeing BigQuery data editor. BigQuery data editor. If you wanted to set something, you can see here BigQuery data editor. Sir, this is a role. So this is a role, sir. It is specific to the BigQuery, sir. So click on this role. Now you will be able to see the list of all the permissions. List of all the permissions. How many permissions it is assigned, sir? So if you assign a BigQuery data editor role, if you assign a BigQuery data editor role to someone, how many permissions you are assigning to him? Can you guys confirm?
37.
37.
37 permissions we are assigning to him. What if I don't want all of these permissions?
It
Look
is
at here.
You can
Okay.
create a custom role.
Perfect.
We can customize
Sir,
it.
you will look at here. The requirement of the project is that the client come to you and you have assigned the BigQuery data editor role to the one of the user. That is what the customer says. You have assigned a BigQuery data editor role to the one of the user, but in our project we are not using the models. Machine learning models we are not creating. But by default, when you assign a predefined role called BigQuery data editor role, does he get the model access also? Yes or no, guys, as per these permissions?
Yes.
Yes.
As per the permissions, this guy, whoever you provided the BigQuery data editor role, so those can also be able to work with the models. But the client says is that we should not be providing the access to the models. What we have to do, sir?
Custom role.
We have to go for the custom role because it is a typical project requirement. In a typical project requirement, if there is a already the role available, we can make use of it. As per the project only, we are going to use the GCP, sir. It is our main importance is that we are going to work on the project. As per the project, we are going to use the assign the roles. So our role is that if it is already available in the basic role, you assign it. If it is already available in the predefined role, you assign it. If the requirement is not satisfied the basic and predefined role, that's where you come to the custom role. So this is one of that requirement. And now, sir, creating a custom role, there are two ways. You can click on create role. That is you can create a custom role from the scratch. You can create a custom role from the scratch. This is one. Scratch means totally new role. From zero onwards, you can keep on providing the permissions. Or you can create a custom role from the already existing predefined role. Existing predefined role. You can actually create a custom role from the existing predefined role also. See here, when you click on create role, when you click on create role, so you see here no assigned permissions. It is a create role is a custom create role is a from the scratch. From the scratch, that means you keep on add the permissions. Permission 1, permission 2, permission 3, permission 4, permission 5. So that's how you can add the permissions and you give some name to that. So something like that, I am giving it as a 2. So you can add permissions and you can create a role, give name and click on create it. So that is where you have created a one role called the custom role 2. Okay, custom role 2 is something that you have created it from the scratch. Sir, can I create a role? Sir, can I create a role from the already existing predefined role? Sir, BigQuery data editor is a already existing predefined role. Click on it. Because, sir, if I wanted to create a custom role, we have to assign him these 30 plus permissions manually. Yes or no? But I just have wanted to remove few of the permissions from this already existing predefined role. In that case, you can create from role. You can click on create from role. When you click on create from role, so this is you are creating a custom BigQuery data editor role 2, and you come here. It is assigned with 37 permissions. You wanted to remove few permissions. You can remove few permissions which are related to the models. You removed the few permissions related to the models. And sir, I wanted to add few more permissions. You can add it. You can add few more permissions also. So that is how by adding few permissions to the existing predefined role, by removing from the existing predefined role, you can create a own new role that is nothing but a custom role. You see here, you have added few, you have removed few, and click on create. Click on create, sir. When you click on create, what happened, sir? We have created a custom role from the existing predefined role. I given the same name. Let me change the name. Let me make it as 1. Okay. Or test custom role. I wanted to give some different name. Custom role. So here total 37 permissions are there. Okay. So there are two types of custom roles. One is from the scratch you can create, or by using the existing predefined role you can also create a one custom role. Okay, so that is what is custom roles, sir. I think this is also clear. So now you now have the knowledge on roles. Now you have the knowledge on principles as well as roles. Can you guys tell me how many roles are there? How many types of roles are there?
3 types.
3 types of roles. First one,
Basic, custom.
basic. The second one, custom. So just now we have created, you see here, test custom role we have created. See here, it came here. So when you create the custom role also, it will be available, otherwise it will not be available. And predefined role. When we go for the custom role, sir, when we go for the custom role,
We want to limit the access of particular resource.
so custom role is two things. It is further granular service. It is only ensure the exact level of permissions we wanted to provide one thing. And I do not find a typical role as per my requirement in the basic and predefined. I'll go to the custom. Okay. So custom is always after the predefined. So if your role is already available in the predefined, why to create a custom role, right? So you check in the predefined role. If it is not available, you go to the custom role. Okay. Most of the times people will be creating the custom roles, sir. Okay. So one time if they create it, they can use it. Okay. So that is the reason most of the time people start creating the roles.
Sir, this criteria is given by product manager, like this much of permissions has to be given like that. So it will be given by product manager, or
it comes with the it comes with the project requirement. Okay, so there will be a solution architect and there will be a product manager and there will be a client also. So at first we will be providing, when they are working on a POC project, at first the entire access will be provided. Okay, 1 or 2 people, and they will be working on the project and they will ensure that what type of an access is required for that. In such scenario, some kind of an access will be provided and they will be working on it. And if that project is a real project, what they try to do is that for each and every user, the best practices they will check. The best practices is that first thing is assigning a proper role. Okay, so they have to create a custom role, and that custom role need to have an access to these services only. And even in the service also, they can do only some part of a activity. They cannot be able to do the other part of the activity. So such kind of a things is like comes with an experience, and it comes from the project and DevOps engineer and admin. Plenty of people will already involved here. Most of the times it will be the custom role only, and it will be defined by the DevOps or infra team and or the admin team, and based on the project requirement, and we explain the project requirement to them and they will create it. In addition to that, whenever there is a new access required also, we can raise a request to the admin team, will again provide the extra access, because adding extra access is nothing but assigning one more permission only, guys. Assigning the permission is easy, but you can't assign it. Data engineers are not allowed to assign the permissions, but there will be an admin team, they will be providing you it. Okay, GCP admin will also be there. But in some projects, GCP senior data engineer also will provide the permissions. Okay, Now you come here, you click on grant, you click on some user. Sir, I wanted to provide access to this guy, and you come here and you click on it. You click on any role. Sir, I have created some custom role. I click on this custom role and I click on save. So assigning a principal to the role is nothing but a policy. That's it. What is a policy? The next topic is policy. As you see here, updating the policy. Policy is updated. Assigning the role to the user or a identity or a principal is nothing but a policy. Okay, we can also call it as a binding. Okay, a policy is a set of statements. A policy is a set of statements. You see here, a policy is a set of statements. This is what is policy, sir. Every project has its own policy. Policy is a set of statements where what a principal can be assigned with a role. A role with a principal with a role assignment is nothing but a policy. A principal, these are the principles, sir. This is one principal, this is one more guy, this is one more guy, this is one more guy. A principal with a role assignment is nothing but a statement of a principal with a role assignment is nothing but a policy. What is policy, sir? A principal with a role assignment is nothing but a policy. Whenever, for the first time when you are granting access, it will be role policy is created. For the first time when you do not have anything. Okay. So that is about the first time when you are creating the policy. So when you assign a role to the user for the first time, if you think that this is policy, for the first time policy is empty, right? So you have not created a policy. Policy is empty. When you assign a user to the role, that's where the policy gets created here. So this is one binding. Binding says is that user with the role assignment. Similarly, if you assign a user with one more role, one more user with one more role, there is again binding too. You are binding the user with a role is nothing but a set of these bindings is nothing but a policy. Also, you can call it as user 2 with role 2. Similarly, binding 3, user 3 with role 3. So a set of bindings is nothing but a policy, or a set of statements with a user with role assignment is also policy. Either you can define it this way or define it this way. Anything is fine. Okay. So a policy created for the first time, it will be keep on updated whenever you are creating a binding or whenever you are assigning a role to the user. A policy gets keep on updated. Okay. So that is what it is, guys. The next topic. As I told you, there are 3 types of roles: basic roles, predefined roles, custom roles. Policy. You can grant roles to the users by creating a policy. So far we understood the definitions of identities or principles. We understood the roles and types of roles. What happens when you grant a role to the user? What happens is nothing but a policy. Okay, a policy is that when you grant a role to the user, the policy gets created. So what is a policy? It is a collection of statements which define who has what type of an access. Yes or no, guys? Which
So
define what
means
type
like
of
after providing a roles, and if we want to add one more permissions or granting a one form, we can add with the
Of
policy,
course.
right?
What? No, not like that. See, it's like this, guys. So I have added this guy. I have just added. You remember, right? Okay, we have added a custom role just now. Okay, so this guy has total 1 role, 2 roles, 3 roles. You can add one more role first thing, so that he can do few more actions. Second thing, within the role also, can I add one more permissions because it is a custom role? Can I add few more permissions? If I have to add, what I have to do, I have to go to that particular custom role and I can add it. So 2 things, you can do anything. You can add roles to the existing users. We can add permissions to the existing roles. Yes or no? Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay, so that is what. So a user can be assigned with the multiple roles. A role is a set of permissions. You can always edit your permissions in the role. Okay, but you cannot assign a permission. That's what I'm telling you. So you cannot assign the permission to the user directly, sir. Why is role? I wanted to assign the permission directly to the user. How many permissions you start assigning it? Because that is the reason Google has not provided that activity. It is not allowed because you can't assign a grant to the user. You can't assign a permission to the user. If you start assigning a permissions, some thousands, lakhs of permissions you start assigning to the user, which is a waste of time, which makes a which is not a proper organized way of assigning a roles. So that is the reason they come up with the concept of role. So whatever the permissions you wanted to assign it to the user, you create that as a role, you assign that role to the user. You can add any number of roles. I wanted to come here. So for this guy only, I wanted to come here, click on edit principal. Sir, I wanted to add one more role. You add any number of roles, sir. So total 1, 2, 3 is there, right? So I wanted to add one more. You come here, you add this one, click on this, sorry. You add this one, click on this one, save. Okay, you added one more. See here, Azure workloads reader. So this is how you can add any number of roles to the user. So whenever you are adding it, you might have seen it or not, the policy was updated. So you click on here, even though you can also delete it. Like I have deleted, I wanted to delete, sir. I wanted to delete, or I will add only one, okay. Click on save. See here, policy gets updated. Okay, so this is what is policy. Okay, so what is the advantage of the policy is important, and that's where we are going to close this session. Give me 1 minute, sir. Give me 2 minutes. So what happens is that IAM, there is a policy. Policy is a set of bindings, nothing but a user 1 with the role 1, user 2 with the role 2, user 3 with the role 3. Okay, a role is a set of permissions. Assume that this role is talking about BigQuery. This role is talking about Dataproc. This role is talking about GCS. Okay. So now try to see this policy is always attached to the resources. Why it is? Because let me tell you. So the policy in the Google Cloud Platform is attached to the resources. Attached to all the resources, not only one resource. This policy is attached to all the resources in the GCP. Why? Because now look at here, one of the user 2, is trying to access the BigQuery. Does the access is provided or not, guys? Can you check it? Is the access is granted or not? Is the access granted or not? Can you guys tell me?
Not granted.
Not granted, because what happens, see here, as I told you, you might have looked at here, a policy is attached to the resource. Now that means BigQuery is also a resource. That means policy is already attached to the resource. Now whenever you are trying to access the BigQuery, BigQuery will check in the policy because it is already assigned, allotted. I mean, it is already attached to the resource. So BigQuery will check in the policy. Now whether this guy is available, first thing, yes, this guy is available. Does he have an access to the BigQuery? No, he only have access to the Dataproc. That means the access is rejected. Okay, so that is how his access will be revoked on the BigQuery. But if the same guy, look at this, the same guy is trying to access Dataproc, whether the access is provided or not, guys.
Yes. Provide, yes.
Yes, it's because you look at here, again, Dataproc is also one of the resource. It is also having the policy attached. It will check Dataproc. Yeah, I am here, the Dataproc. So whom I have the access user to, and it is correct or not? Yes. So it will provide that. So this is what is the advantage of creating a policy. So this is what is the advantage of controlling the access control in the GCP. Access control to the users and services. So when you grant something, the policy created. When you create a policy, it is attached to the resources. So that is how the access control is, the access is controlled or not here to the users, guys. Can you guys confirm? Access is controlled or not?
Yes. Yes.
So this is what is IAM. Access is controlled here. Okay, if the admin is creating some policy, they can only access the services. If the admin is not created any policy, by default, no one will be having any access to any resource. Even though you are CEO or you are anyone, if that in the policy you do not have your username, for example, now look at here. So again, user 4 came into the picture and they are trying to access some BigQuery. That the access is provided. This user 4 is CEO of the company. Does the access is provided?
No. No.
Even the Google Cloud Platform does not worry about the humans. It's all about worries about the data. So that is what, guys. We may be whoever we are on the earth, whether you are a CEO, whether you are someone, you are some manager, whoever you are, it doesn't bother. It's all about the computer needs only the data. So to the computer, you are just an information. When I say an information, you are just this guy. Your name is this one. Your email ID is this one. Your phone number is this one. To the computer, you are just an information. Okay, you are just whether anyone you are. So even in the also, it will check. I don't bother about it. What is your username? User 4. My username is this one. So it will check in the policy. The BigQuery will check in the policy. User 4 is not there. You are rejected. You can't access this service. That's how it is. Okay. So this is how access is controlled properly with the help of the IAM by creating the policy. When I say a policy, it is a binding with a principle with a role, right? Principle with role. So that's the reason we first learned about what is principle, then we learned about what is role, and then we have learned about what is policy. Now we know IAM controls the user access. Okay? Yes or no, guys?
Yes. Yes.
So this is what is everything making sense now.
Yes.
Okay, when I talk principles, when I talk roles, it doesn't make sense. But now when you actually look at it, everything in one single view, everything makes sense. So this is how the access is controlled. Anyone have any? I'm stopping the session here for today. I have one more session also. But if you guys have any questions, you can ask me.
Sir, one question, sir. So
Yes.
with the Google Cloud, they constantly push the changes, right? So that means they delete some of the permissions on the fly, correct? When we create a custom roles and these predefined permissions attached to a custom role, how do we catch these changes?
You can add permissions, right? You can
No,
again
but
come here.
if Google Cloud deletes the existing permissions, that means our custom roles also will, the predefined permission will gone, right? So
No,
what
no,
I'm
no, I
saying,
did not. No, no, I did not
my
get you.
question
Sorry.
is, let's say we
No.
have a big data model edit, there is a permission. We assign that permission to a custom role. So with the Google Cloud, with the changes, they remove that permission. So that means our custom role also, that permission is gone, right? How do we track these changes? Like Google is constantly updating, right? In the real scenario, how do we track these
You mean
changes?
to say when the project is deleted?
In our project, when the permission is itself get deleted by Google,
No, the
the permission,
permission. The permissions does not do like that, doesn't work that way. Okay, it doesn't work that way. See, for
so
example,
they won't deprecate it, like say big
no, no,
data
no.
tomorrow they come and hey, I want to deprecate big data, right? So they can deprecate the permission, correct? No,
So
it
they
won't
don't
work that.
deprecate it. Even though they are deprecating, also they will ensure that you are much intimated earlier. Okay, if they
Okay,
are doing it, they will much intimate it even 1 year before.
okay, understood. Yeah,
Okay, so
that's what.
if they are deprecating something, whether it is a role, whether it is a permission or whatever it is, whether it is a service, whether it is some action, if they wanted to do it, they will intimate it much earlier. So you can take further actions on top of it. Okay, if you are using that service, you can plan for. And if they are deprecating it, their main agenda is that they are creating a one more advanced version of that service. So you have to plan it off how best we can use that next version of service. Okay.
Okay, understood. So one general question, sir. So since
Yeah.
we created an account and we got some credits, so when we're creating a resources and all these custom roles, principles and everything, where is that billing tracked? How do we know where is that billing tracked? How is getting charged? Because we
Billing
need to
will
know
be
that.
tracked for each and every service. I think I might have shown you that. in the billing, but maybe I'll show you that how you can actually track the billing properly. Okay, maybe tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Sure. Yeah.
Sir, I have a
Billing is
question.
always there. It's a cell. Yeah. Any other question, guys?
Sir, what is the difference between a browse and view?
Browser is something like this page. Look at here. Browser is something like this page, sir. Which one? So some of the one user wanted to see the BigQuery page. This is browsing. Does he can browse this page or not? This is browsing. The viewer is something that inside that BigQuery we have a data set and we have a table. Does this guy viewer is something that he can view the data also, review the data also. Here he has the data, right? So this is view. Viewer is something that he can view the things also, whether it is a service or whether it is something, whatever it is, he can view something else. Okay. So viewer is something he can view the services, but a browser cannot view the data. Browser cannot view the data because the main purpose of the browser is that he can browse the things or not. The browsing the things is that he can browse the BigQuery or not. Yes, he can browse it, but he cannot go inside it. He cannot click on this one. He cannot be able to click on this brown data. He cannot be able, okay, he cannot be able to view this data also. Okay, so that is how the browser and viewer.
Sir, next session will be on
What
Monday
is
only, right, sir?
Sorry.
Next session will be Monday only, right? Tomorrow no session.
Okay, today Friday. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think I'm planning tomorrow, guys. I will inform it in the group. Okay, I'm planning to take the session because we missed the 2 sessions. Okay, so I'm planning to take the session tomorrow. Okay, so that we can plan it properly because we have missed actually 2 sessions in this week. So I'll inform in the group, guys. We will be having the session tomorrow. I will inform.
Sir,
in the group.
last one question, sir. How we have to practice today session? Like in Google Cloud, which one we have to practice?
No, I'll tell you. We have not started anything properly. Okay, I'll tell you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, guys, I'm stopping the session. We will meet tomorrow, and I'll let you know that whether we have a session in tomorrow or not. Okay. Yeah. Thank you all.
Thank you,
Have
sir.
a great day. Bye bye.
You too. Thank you.